you can plant your garden. You can plant your garden now. And raise your hand if you are a gardener or you like to play in the dirt. I like to play in the dirt. I'm not going to say I'm a great gardener or anything, but I do like to play in the dirt. In fact, my friend Linda Green Johnson gave me a shirt that said that, and I still wear it because I love it. So anyway, it's gardening time. And if you are a gardener, you probably know that one of the most important, well, two things. One, you got to have good seed. Yeah? We've got good seed. We know about that. But two, you got to have good what? You can talk to me. Soil. You got to have good soil. That's exactly right. And so that's really why I thought this is a perfect time of year to talk about soil, because we're all thinking about gardening and we're thinking about producing and we're thinking about harvest. Well, later on we are, but right now we're just thinking about getting the ground ready. So it'll be ready for stuff. Now I want to give a little scriptural context for this message here, because I think this message is not just for people who haven't heard or had the seeds planted. I think it's very much for us who've had seeds planted, but we don't want to get in another place. We want to stay or keep that good soil. So 1 Corinthians 13:12 is the first one. Linda, this is for you. Sorry that it would not be Corinthians, but I can get it if we don't have it. Oh, well, that's my fault that we don't have it. 1 Corinthians says, if I can find it quickly, this. Now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror, and then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I'm fully known. So, okay, we understand, but lest you try to put God in a box, folks, you're never going to get to the full understanding of God. I'm sorry, we can't. We have little pea brains, and we're not going to do it. However, do you think we can get a little better, and a little better, and a little better? I think so. I think so. And that's why I think this is for us. It doesn't come to the place of, wham, we're good soil, we get it, we understand it. I'm sorry. We're just not built that way. And I think this verse helps us to see that. All right, here's another one. Philippians 1. Did I give you that one? No, probably not. 5 and 6. That's okay. My bad. Because of your partnership in the gospel, from the first day until now, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. In other words, it's a process. And how about this? Continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purposes. So he's not done with us. We don't, bam, we're Christians and now we're done. No, we're a process. It's a journey. And because it's a journey, God's going to hang in there with us. He's not going to abandon us. Now we're going to look at the parable of the sower, just as it applies to us, as we, quote, work out our salvation, as we maybe know a little more fully than we know now what God is like. So now I know we have this part. We're going to look at these verses. We're going to start with the good stuff first. I always like to start with the good stuff. So we're going to start with verses 8 and 23. Maybe. Yes. Still other seed fell on that good soil where it produced a crop. Great. And 23 explains it. It's like we were open. We had the good soil, if you will. But God, you know, he's wanting to plant more seeds of good news, of compassion, of kindness. And you know what? If we're going to keep that good soil, what do we have to do? You're a gardener. What do? You rototill. Yeah, you can't leave it. You can't leave that ground. Because if you do, stuff happens that you do not want to have happen. So That's where we were. We were the good stuff. We had it. We understood it. We said, yes, we'll take the grace. We'll take salvation. We love it. But that's not the end. That's the beginning. That's the beginning. And so we better do some stuff, if you will, so we can avoid drifting back into those other soil types. So let's look at those 3 other soil types. Verse 4. Fell on the path. Thank you. Fell on the path. Now, I don't know about you, but what happens to a path? It gets trampled and it gets hard as a rock, practically. Yeah. And guess what? Nothing gets through that. You can throw seed on that all day long, and you know what? Nothing is getting in there. Nothing is getting in there. And the seeds can't take root. And you know what? There are Christians very much like that, because they are so sure, I have the message, I know the truth, and that's all there is to it. My mind is closed, my heart is closed, my arms are closed. Can seeds get through? Can God do any more planting in you? I would like to say, I don't think so. I don't think so. There's more. There's more. There's more. So God can't get them back. He can't continue that journey that he wants to continue. Let's look at verses 5 and 6 and 20 or whatever we have up there. What's the next place that seed is going to be? The rocks. We've been going on some hikes on Wednesdays, and I'll tell you what, I am utterly amazed at plants. I love plants because they talk to us. They give us messages all over the place. And yes, there are plants that will grow on this much soil, that much soil. And what happens? They burst up. They're full of joy. You know, I've seen new Christians just like this. I mean, they are on fire. They absolutely were. It reminds me of myself when I was a teenager. I was absolutely sure that I was going to stay on that mountaintop forever. Well, you know what? You go down in the valley again. You do. And that's part of the reason that I think it's so important that we watch out for those rocks, because we're not going to be on that mountaintop all the time. There are going to be other things that happen. There are other stuff that happens into our life, and we need to nurture these people so that they get some roots. They have more time to do this. We need to be aware of rocks that get into our own soil. Stuff gets in the way. What does that say there? Because they're full of joy, but they quickly fall away because trouble comes. They get a pushback. It doesn't feel comfortable. And so they push away. They have a problem. All right. The third kind, verses 7 and whatever it is, 22. Oh, yeah. These are good ones. What is this one? Thorns. All right. I've got thistles at my house. I have a pile of dirt. It's the best dirt in the world. But you know what it grows? Thistles, because that's what was planted there. And I'm telling you what, they are strong and they are prickly. Yeah, they really are. And as it turns out, these are the life's worries. This is other stuff. This is wealth. And wealth looks different. It's anything, really, that gets in the way. Deceitfulness of wealth. You think you've got something, but you don't. That's not the wealth. You want some other kind of wealth. Or what about fear? Oh, yeah, that's a thorn. God he doesn't want any fear. So if you're feeling afraid or angry or not forgiving or all of that, then we've allowed some thorns to creep in. And just let me tell you, it's impossible for good seeds to grow in an environment like that. So if you're fostering any of that, then you got to let it go. Well, this is the good part. We come back to the good part again. We've come full circle. We've seen some of the pitfalls, if you will, the bad stuff. But we see that if we're going to live our best life, if we're going to work out that salvation, if we are going to live in what, I'm always going to say it, abundance, what God has planned for us, it is exactly what he wants to give us, every single one of us. He's given us grace, he's given us joy, he's given us peace, gratitude, forgiveness. You know what that is? Love. Love. And that means keeping our soul open. It's got to be open. I don't care if you're 5 or 15, 50 or 500. Open. Just wide enough. So we have to have our open minds, our open arms. And that's why I love the hands of Christ. Are those arms open? Yes. Our hearts have to stay that way too. So we got some work. Just like we got a road to till, what do we have to do? We want to get rid of the weeds and the rocks and the thorns. But you know what? We have to learn to recognize them. Oh yeah, they creep in. Sure they do. They're subtle. They masquerade. Sometimes they masquerade as good things. Boy, that feels good. I think I'll have some more of that. But then, doesn't last. There's no joy that's lasting. No, it's gone. Or sometimes it masquerades as what we said, that fear. Those people over there. Or, I don't want them. Don't come near me. God doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. So we have to do a weed and feed, don't we? We have to recognize those things. We have to consciously decide, don't we, that we don't want them. They'll come. But if we are consciously looking for this, then you know what? We catch it early. I don't know about you, but I would rather pull out a little bitty weed and as opposed to the big old thorns that are coming, those thistles. I'm telling you, they're way taller than I am if I let them go too long. We also can combat them with the feed. You feed you nurture. Gratitude for me is it. Count your blessings. Know what you have. Focus on those good things. Negative stuff can't get in if you're looking there. Spending time with God. Prayer. Anytime, any place. Just a minute, just a second, just a that. And then be still. You see, prayer has two parts. It's the speaking, it's the listening. I don't know about you, but I know that this world is sometimes. It goes around so fast, let me tell you. We don't stop and listen. How can God get through to us if we won't pay attention? Jesus said it. Let him who has ears hear. And I don't mean these ears. It's these ears. And then do something. Do something. Act. Serve. Go on a mission. God's going to be speaking to people right here today. He's talking to us. Why? Why is all this important? Well, it's for our own nurturing, of course. We receive multiple benefits from this, but let me just tell you this. If God is to work through us, if we're going to be the hands of Christ wherever we are, then we have to bear the harvest. We're the ones that get to plant some more seeds. We have the seeds of good news. We have the seeds of kindness and compassion and patience and grace and forgiveness and all of the stuff, all of the essentials that are the very thing that this world needs. The very thing. Not that negative stuff. No, there's plenty of that out there. We are the ones that want to bring the gentle seed into the world. So, in closing, we're going to look at one more verse, just one. Verse 24. And it says this: the kingdom of heaven, often in the Bible it says the kingdom of God, may be compared to a man who sowed good seed in his field. God has planted that good seed right here in some fertile soil. And it's up to us to gently replant it into the world. We're going to close. We're running a little bit, and that's great because I'm so thankful that you were able to come and share. I know that you've touched hearts here, and I know that one of your mission trips in the future is going to include somebody from this group. I just sense it. So instead of doing our closing hymn, we're just going to close with this gentle song that talks about planting the good seed. It's talking about planting it in your minds. But I want us to remember that we are to love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And so as we plant seeds, that's the way we're going to remember it. This will be our closing hymn. This will be our time when, if you are feeling moved, you come. Or if you're feeling moved just to bow, that's fine. This song is easy. If you want to sing, fine. You won't know it. I didn't know it until I found it online. But to me, it says what we want to hear today. So